All right. All right. Week two of owning the journey. This week, I decided to make the subject that brings in the new year, keeps on bringing in the new year, that talks about upholding standards. Um, this year, I want to make sure that the mindset going into everything that we're doing with the project that we're working here at Monify. Um, it comes down. I kept on thinking this week. I was like, what should I talk about? What should be the topic that I can reach out to people and that makes sense, right? Nothing over dramatic, nothing over extensive. It's just something that's hyper focused that I'm pretty sure everybody could relate to. And I was like trying to think. I was trying to overthink it. I was trying to think of something and I ended up overthinking about it. And I was like, it hit me. I was like, we could just talk about accountability, right? I think going into week two of the new year, finishing off the week two of the new year, I find myself thinking about a lot about responsibility. I find myself thinking a lot about accountability, you know, um, as a leader, um, as a father, as a friend, as a human. And I think about driving growth and development, and I think about the constant learning and adaptation that it takes. Um, I guess to succeed, right? I think that's what we're after. Um, and I started thinking about what are some of the things that you know I need to do to be self accountable. And I actually did a post on my Instagram to my friends, and I was like, one of the main things that I could start with are small, things to hold myself accountable. Um, I started thinking about my sleeping habits, which are bad. I find myself either, staying up late from working or, just kind of, dealing with, the decompression of the day, um, and then not getting off to a really great start the next morning. So I thought about that being a baseline to be able to talk about today because I think it's very important, you know, the ritual of our daily and, and being able to be accountable to that. I think it's the first step. Um, I think that you know even in the first couple of weeks of the new year, we want to shoot super high as far as accountability. I think if we start from you know yourself, I think that will make the difference as far as setting an example and making sure you're heading in the right way. So that's why I think I wanted to zero in on the role of accountability and high standards and hope that I could hopefully you know impart some of that mindset onto other people going into um, their endeavors or their missions. Um, I find myself having to not only hold myself accountable, but now in this position, like having to try to hold other people accountable. Um, because I think it's really important. It's something that's hard. I'll tell you that much. It's not holding oneself accountable. I think I don't want to say it's easier, but it's something that's a little bit more in your control. Um, when you're thinking in the standards of team and everybody else that are around you, it feels a little bit one of those things that you have to focus on. I think at least my aspect of it, it's like if I can focus in on you know the good, the bad, and the ugly with myself, as far as the trying to break that bad habits of 2023 and being super accountable into the new year. I think that's shaping up to something that where I want to focus on, and try to set an example. And hopefully with that baseline strategy go into with my team and the people around me, we're trying to say, hey, where can we, be examples and pillars for each other, and say, hey, can we support each other to be accountable? Can we call each other out on our mishaps or our misdirection, and bring us into this straight and narrow? And I think, there's a lot of positive. I think one of the negatives for it as well is just like, having to deal with the failures of not being able to hold people accountable. I think that's a big thing. That's why I wanted to talk this week about that. And I know that these are off the script and I'm kind of going off the heart, but I did write down a few things that I wanted to share people going into week two. And again, this week was a lot of reflection on that. Is like, how can I uphold some standards with not only the venture that we got, but with the people and the groups around us, to make sure that not only we set the best example, but also, you know, find that circle of trust and community to make sure that we're building that, right. And I feel like the good guy upstairs is putting the right people in front of me, and I'm super appreciative of that, because right off the bat I'm already being invited to, group sessions, and out of Austin community. um, I really appreciate the people that are coming up, and I want to give a couple of shout outs. Lisa Horan. I want to give a shout out to Natalie with Net Duel. I want to give a shout out to YJ, because I reached out to him in the beginning of the year, and it was really great just being able to interact with them. And I look forward to the rest of the year. And the cool thing about it is I'm starting to do that a little bit more, because based off the last one that I did, I wanted to follow through with that, hold myself accountable, and hopefully that adds some light. And that goes into my next point of like, why am I trying to embrace accountability, right? I think that with this journey of constant learning and adapting, I think that's going to help with making things happen. Um, one of the things that I had the biggest is like making, I think I was chasing myself and chasing my tail, was, coming up with this list, this hyper focused list of all the small businesses in Austin that we can reach out to. And the number came out to about 16,000. Obviously I got to be a little bit more hyper focused and work a little bit more on that list. But I stayed up one of these nights, and it's so funny because I was trying to chase the accountability this week of making this list, right? And then other things kind of fell behind, and kind of like that balance of trying to figure out like what to put a priority. That really kind of was a challenge for myself, but like, in the midst of all the chaos of life, in the midst of all the chaos of, trying to get things done, I think that it was a success, at least at the point that I was able to come up with a rudimentary list. I did follow up with my team and say that I was going to get a few things done for them this week, and it's sad to say that I'm finding myself at the end of the week and I'm over here almost done with a lot of them. But the good thing about it is we're focusing on figuring out team meetings. We're focusing on scheduling, and like really some of the things that I promised at the beginning of the year, and I want to make sure that I can get at least before the end of the month, and at least this week's out or the next week that starts, get those things in front of them so we can actually have some direction and start getting to work, as well as elevating the standards that we all have, right? Being able to embrace the roles that we decided to impart within ourselves, and say, hey, how can I contribute? I think it's crucial that we, from a startup mindset, really like hold ourselves to these standards that we're making. And I can't make them all. I gotta tell you guys, like, one of the hardest things was is really realizing that, I think one of the first things I said was, it takes a village, breaking down those barriers and really bringing in the people that want to make that difference, right? And then letting them be free birds to grow and execute. And I think I'm holding myself accountable with that as well. So I'm embracing. So this year, I mean, this week, and thank you for your patience. I'm a little bit. Today was a whirlwind early day, but I found myself at the end of the day. I was like, well, I gotta do this video, as imperfect as it is. I said, hey, I got to get in front of this camera and just go ahead and give a little bit of of my journey this week. So again, going back to that truth, right, of what it was this week. This week was hyper focus on accountability, really holding yourself to that higher standard and really focusing on that outlining. And I think it starts with us. I think, you know, not everybody has that responsibility of trying to put things together with multiple people. But I think setting really baseline examples for yourself and then letting that kind of, seep out to everybody around you, I think it's a good start. Um, Again, these are my thoughts, my philosophy, and I hope that this resonates with people. And I'm gonna get better at shortening these videos and making them a little bit more hyper focused on subject matter. But again, the purpose of these videos is to kind of show you the ups and downs and the weekly thought processes of somebody like me, specifically with my journey. And the biggest aspect is like really lining things up and keeping the ball rolling down the field again. And I'm always going to refer to that. I think that's a subject matter from the beginning that I brought up, and I want to keep reminding people that don't give up. Um, as crazy as it gets out there, it could be very confusing with the things that life throws at you, the things that business throws at you. But coming back to your center again is the focus that I always want to bring back to everybody else. And you know, the story of this week is just zeroing in on the things that we can do, and trying to start figuring out what's going to keep us moving forward. So again, accountability, setting those high standards. That's something that I'm going to be focusing on. And these weekly things, it's not just a hey subject matter for that week. These are going to be consistent. So it's like one thing after another that stacks up and that reminders. And hopefully I can look back at these videos some time ago and kind of bring me back to my center. But I hope it helps out somebody that's out there, that's over here trying to make it. I hope it inspires you in some type of way. This week has been super crazy. There's a lot of things I have to do. There's a lot of things I have been working on to try to push the ball down the field. But it's all coming together, and it really makes me happy. It really makes me feel like the right things are falling into place, and it may not be all magic and it just happens tomorrow with this business that I'm creating with my team. Um, it's our mission. It's a higher purpose that I'm letting the good guy upstairs kind of shape out. But again, with these little lessons that I'm learning along the way, and these standards that I'm setting, hopefully, um, it starts bringing things into purpose. Well, I thank you so much. I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a good weekend. As you can tell, I got the Cowboys in the background. Sorry if I offended anybody with that, but that's my team. Hopefully, you guys enjoy the playoffs. So hopefully, you guys enjoy Martin Luther King Day, and take it easy. Rest up because the next week we got to start grinding again. And to anybody from my team that's watching this, uh, we got to decide on that powwow meeting. So let's get that going so we can get a dedicated day for the stand ups. And anybody else that's out there, feel free to reach out to me for, again, like I said, for any kind of advice. You need a shoulder to cry on or just to talk to. I'm always open. Feel free to reach out to me via LinkedIn, or if you got my cell, just feel free to hit me up. Take care. And this is Frank Estrada signing off.